Hello, I'm Matt Teal and welcome to the Military Tech Show. In this series, I'll be bringing you up to speed with all the latest technological breakthroughs transforming the future for armed forces across the world. Coming up on the show. Unsure what lies ahead, how an ingenious combination of 3D video and drone technology can offer infantry soldiers a more precise picture of the battleground. It's the mini Hoover that could save the lives of injured soldiers. We bring you the device which salvages lost blood and returns it to the casualty. Inspired by nature but made for the 21st century, the mini submarine that could keep the world's ports safer. During the recent conflict in Afghanistan, soldiers faced huge risks when entering a village or compound. They could be attacked by hidden enemies or set off improvised explosive devices. But unmanned aerial vehicles or drones could offer infantry troops enhanced intelligence and protection. As Charlotte Banks reports, an award-winning team at the University of Birmingham has been pioneering the combination of 3D video technology with drones to create a more complete and revealing picture of the battle space.
Birmingham University's Human Interface Technologies team use virtual reality, simulations and software to look forward 20 years into the future. They want to see what might be possible in 2035 and beyond. Drones are set to become a bigger part of the military world, but one thing they're on the verge of doing is generating 3D video, something the Army doesn't yet have, but that could prove very useful. This is the replica Afghan village at Thetford, which will be familiar to the thousands of troops who did their training here before deploying to Helmand. That campaign might be well in the past, but today the village is helping to develop the technology of the future. This is a standard off-the-shelf drone, which might not look like much, but combine it with some advanced software and you've got a powerful surveillance tool in your hands.
Chris is programming the drone to adopt a scanning pattern on the second part of the Afghan village. We've scanned the first part and now what he's doing is he's setting all the GPS coordinates so that the drone can take off, adopt a starting position and then do a kind of zigzag or raster scan. And then in doing that, we'll be able to take sort of snapshots.
Every time the drone takes a new snapshot, it adds a GPS tag using its altitude and position. Using that data and some clever software, the team produce a 3D model of the area they've just scanned with the drone. The model is accurate to within a centimetre.
So what we're trying to do is use the drone to be able to build up 3D areas and demonstrate this idea of a sacrificial drone in the future, bringing something down, scanning an area very high speed with limited battery and possibly small arms fire, and then using that to build more accurate 3D representations of what's actually there.
It's technology that could one day be useful in combat.
Eventually, in real time, if it's flying over, for example, to try and find out where people are, whether there's disturbed areas on the ground, and give the troops a more situational awareness of where they are on the ground.
The more remote our armed forces get from the action, from the surveillance, from the intelligence gathering, the more or the higher quality of information they're going to demand before they can make quite significant decisions on what they're going to take out and what they're going to observe in more detail.
For the time being, this technology is in the early stages, and this is just an experiment. It takes hours to generate the 3D model today, but the troops of the future will see it in real time.
How How will technology transform future combat, and how might the military adapt? As you can imagine, these are vital questions faced by forces around the world, and some of the largest defence companies are trying to come up with the answers. One of the leading players is Northrop Grumman. In an exclusive for the Military Tech Show, Dr. Andrew Tyler, the Briton who heads up the US defence giant's European operations, sets out his predictions.
There's a clear view emerging now in countries like the United States and increasingly European countries that we've reached a new moment in the history of military technologies where our adversaries, the major powers such as Russia and China, but also increasingly some of those near-peer adversaries, now have got many of the same technologies as we have on the battlefield. So this view has given rise to thinking about what is the next generation of technologies. They're going to re-establish that difference, that military superiority on the battlefield that comes through the technologies that we use. So let's examine some of the technologies that I would expect to become very, very widely used in the battle space of the future. Intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance has been a feature of the battle space since the dawn of time. But I think we're going to enter into an age of what I call intel-centric warfare, where the gathering of intelligence is incredibly central to everything that goes on in the battlefield. That ability to know what is going on. Sometimes I describe this as eyes on, hands off. The underwater environment, for me, represents the last hiding place on the planet. Today, we can see everything that's going on the surface of the planet. You think about what you can see just on Google Earth. In the air, our ability to detect what is going on in the air is increasing faster than our ability to hide in the air. But underwater, this still remains a cloak of invisibility, where we can hide the assets that we need to use against our adversaries. So my forecast is that we're going to see a real resurgence in underwater technologies over the coming years. And we're going to be using these technologies to gather intelligence, do reconnaissance, deploy special packages, and potentially to deliver lethal force if necessary. When the United States went to war in Afghanistan, it's estimated they had about 100 unmanned air systems in their inventory. By the time we finished in Afghanistan, there were well over 10,000 deployed in that theatre. My prediction in the future is that drones will become a fundamentally intrinsic part of the battle space. What we haven't seen pervasively on the battle space today is unmanned combat air vehicles. But we've seen demonstrators like the Northrop Grumman X-47B, BAE Systems Taranis system. And those are signposting what we expect to see in the future. Combat drones able to go and gather intelligence, surveillance, acquire targets, and if necessary, strike targets, all with a huge degree of stealth, long range, and persistence. One of the really interesting challenges we have at the moment is something called the tanker tether problem. One of the features of combat aircraft is that they're not known for their fuel economy. And their range is normally only a few hundred miles without the need to refuel. And they will refuel from a large aircraft flying around in an orbit, a tanker, from which they then go and take their fuel to continue their mission. So the ability for us to use our combat aircraft relies on our ability to refuel them. And if your enemy can shoot down your tanker, that will neutralize your combat air effect. One of the ideas that's being looked at the moment is the unmanned tanker drone. So this would get around the problem of this very large aircraft being used for refueling but is much more vulnerable to missile attack. This would be a drone aircraft with a low radar signature, able to persist in the sky for very, very long periods of time. One of the things that I think has tantalized us over many years is the idea of wearable technologies. But I really think that we've got to a point in time now where these are becoming an everyday reality. So at the high end, let's look at the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter helmet. This incredible device worn by the pilot brings together 6 camera systems, brings together a targeting system, brings together missile warners and communication systems. And it brings all this together in the pilot's view, allowing the pilot, for example, to look anywhere around him or her, and to be able to see straight through the sides of the aeroplane, unencumbered by the aeroplane structure. At the low end, let's think about the sort of technologies that the soldier of the future might be using. Maybe we'll have the soldier equivalent of the F-35 pilot's helmet. It may not be something they wear on their head, it might be something presented on a tablet. But it would have that same ability to bring different sources of information together. Cyber is the revolutionary new frontier in warfare. But the fact is that a cyber attack can change its nature and its form and the method by which it's delivered. It can be changed in a matter of days, perhaps even hours. The sort of things I think we're going to see in the future are using active cyber as a means of enhancing your own defence. Being able to put cyber modules out on the network that monitor and listen and give you that early warning of attack and gather intelligence on where cyber threats may be posed to your nation. When I look at the battle space of the future and I look across the range of technologies that we're going to see in that battle space, everything from drones to ground robots to cyber, there are certain enabling technologies which I see as very common to be used across that spectrum. So for example, autonomy. We're seeing it already in our personal lives. We're seeing cars with a degree of autonomy that we've not seen before. And you can see whether it's an unmanned ground robot being sent to defuse an IED, or on the other end of the spectrum, an unmanned combat aircraft that's being sent to prosecute an attack mission on another state. Autonomy is a very, very important technology.
Hello, welcome back to the Military Tech Show, bringing you the latest developments in defence technology. Forces medics and researchers are constantly trying to improve field treatment capability to give injured troops on the ground even more of a fighting chance. One of the biggest causes of death is severe blood loss following a traumatic injury. But now scientists at the University of Strathclyde in Scotland have developed a portable blood salvaging device. Deployable in the field, the machine can return blood loss back to the casualty. And as we found out, it could improve the chances of survival for severely wounded soldiers.
One of the biggest challenges faced by injured military personnel in the field is hemorrhage, and it's very difficult to transport significant volumes of blood into the battlefield. We have considerable experience in developing a technique called autotransfusion for the clinical field, that's the civilian clinical field. And through that development, we developed the Hemacept system. So it occurred to us that it would be valuable to develop a military derivative of that. So we determined to design a technology that was manually powered, that was light, portable, and simple to use.
Well, this is our field deployable portable auto-transfusion kit. It's quite a small package, weighs about 1.5 kilos. We take a look inside here. We've got the main drive mechanism, which is a dual-headed hand-cranked pump. We've got a low-level anticoagulant, which stops the blood from clotting within the tubes. And we've got a blood collection bag, which stores the blood that's been collected from the wound site.
The centre of the whole technology is this. It's a double-headed roller pump system with a single crank, so that both pumps are driven from a single shaft. But we can activate the second pump independently, so we can decide when that's going to run and when it's not going to run. So the top pump is a high volume pump that provides a vacuum. So it sucks through this line. So we have a conventional suction wand here that we would put into the wound, and we would suck that blood back through this pump and into a holding reservoir, this blood collection reservoir. When we have sufficient volume in that reservoir, we will activate the pump on the bottom simply by twisting the case, continue to crank the single shaft, and the blood will be transferred from here directly back into the patient. We would hope in the long term that it would have a considerable impact on the number of injured military personnel who succumb to hemorrhage. And we know that's a significant number. And we would hope that deploying this new technology, the simple autotransfusion technology, will have a very positive impact on that number of casualties.
Next, a transport at the cutting edge of patrol vehicle technology that provides unprecedented levels of blast protection for its size and weight. It's been specifically designed and built in Britain and will be a mainstay in the Army for years to come. So what is the Foxhound? Killer whales, orcas, they're among the most feared animals in the world, but also the most impressive. If you wanted inspiration for a submersible, they're not a bad place to start, as an American company have been demonstrating. John Joe, tell me more about the Orca Sub.
Okay, so the Orca Sub takes advantage of a unique hull design. You can't tell, but underneath this fiberglass body are two individual pilot-shaped pressure hulls. They're almost shaped like shoes. They're only as big as they need to be to keep each pilot perfectly comfortable and contain the electronic equipment that he needs to do his job. So by having this small, very efficient cockpit design, it means we don't need to have an enormous amount of weight to make this thing, make it sink. And by having it shaped like a torpedo, it means that we don't need an enormous amount of power to make it go fast and be efficient.
Okay, so give me some technical specifications. Give me some figures.
All right, so each pilot has about 80 hours of life support, which is much longer than you want to be seated in this submarine, but it's helpful if you ever get into trouble and you need time to fix that trouble. 80 hours is a lot of time to solve any problem that you might have. It has 22 kilowatt hours of power through lithium-ion batteries. So this allows it to have a range over 10, 20, 30 miles, very unique for a small submersible.
Applications, what can it be used for?
For reconnaissance, for surveillance, security, port security, and it has the ability to do all these things in a way that doesn't advertise the fact that you're doing it. So sometimes, if you're interested in doing ship hull inspections, for example, with an ROV, that requires you to have a surface vessel nearby and somebody gazing into a screen, moving an ROV around, and everybody knows that you're doing it. By contrast, we can do that clandestinely, go underneath the ship hull. We have eyes on the prize. If anything is there that's not supposed to be there, we can back up, check it out, shoot more video, beam it with sonar, and then go away without anybody knowing that we found something that we're interested in.
You mentioned it earlier, but tell me more about this fantastic sleek shape. Why is that so important?
Well, we all know that sharks are fast and torpedoes are fast. It's because of their shape. They're long, and this allows water to flow across. And with a very little input, you can maintain that sort of speed very efficiently. The least efficient thing to move through the water is a giant sphere, which unfortunately is what most small submersibles look like. So they're these spheres that have thrusters pointed in all directions to make them go up and down. And they don't have much range because it actually requires a lot of power. And if there's anything like a current running, well then you're even more out of luck. But this can head into a 3-knot current, no problem. And you're basically using your main thrusters to power, and you're using these flight surfaces to bank and turn, which is super efficient. You don't have to have thrusters, counteracting you or pushing you aside. So this is what gives it the super range and the super speed. I guess another thing that most people want to know is how deep will it go? We have 3 models. The shallowest is good for 2,000 feet. We have a mid-range model that's good for 3,000 feet, and a super deep model for 6,000 feet. So quite a lot of depth for a small sub.
And at those kind of depths, what are you using this for? What can you do?
Well, you can do a lot of science, you can do exploring, but one of the most important things from a defense point of view is maintenance, for example, of SOSUS lines, or you want to make sure that your communication cables aren't being hacked by somebody. Pipeline security, all kinds of national infrastructure exists at depth going across the Atlantic, and it's important to maintain them and make sure nobody is up to something they shouldn't be.
Obviously it has very serious and important applications and implications, but it also looks like it might be quite a lot of fun. How well trained do you have to be to get in it and have a go?
Well, the joke we have is that I can train you to fly this badly in about 20 minutes.
And how long would it take you to train me to fly it well?
Well, that depends on you. We've found that in training pilots, one of the common factors for one reason or another is if you're a motorcyclist, you pick up this really, really quickly, because something about learning to turn, look, lean is just generic to understanding how to fly this well. But basically, if you can play a video game,
I can do that.
Then you can get this really easily.
Okay, and last question, how much would this set me back?
So this model, this is a copy of our 2,000 foot depth model. We can put together with you, all included with sonar and communications and everything you could possibly need for under 3 million US.
Okay, we might have to shave off some extras, but it doesn't sound too bad. John Joe, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Matt.
And that's it from us for now. Thanks for watching the Military Tech Show. Until next time, bye-bye. Hello, I'm Matt Teal and welcome to the Military Tech Show. I'll be bringing you all the latest in frontline and security high tech that's bringing about a radical future for armed forces and beyond. Coming up on the show, we're in the deep south as British troops road test a new body armour system that's lighter and more agile than ever before. We discover game-changing innovations in kit and equipment at one of the UK's leading defence and security exhibitions. Meet Ajax with enhanced intelligence and protection. It's the new eyes and ears of the British Army on the battlefields of the future. Coming soon to a sky near you, I try my best to outwit a heat-seeking drone. And it's the experimental submarine hunter that can cruise the ocean unmanned. In recent conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, British infantry soldiers were protected by body armour known as Osprey. Now troops are set to benefit from a new kit system called Virtus, which promises to be lighter and more agile but just as protective. As Ali Gibson reports, soldiers from 3rd Battalion the Rifles joined their US colleagues in Louisiana to put it through some rigorous testing.
As the Apaches circle overhead, B Company 3 Rifles move on to their objective. Engineers and fire support help clear their way. Insurgents have moved into this village. It's the soldiers' job to move them out. This is Exercise Rattlesnake. British troops embedded with US forces in Louisiana for the first time in almost a decade. The riflemen are fostering the special relationship with their American cousins. But they're also here to test Virtus. It's the British Army's latest innovation, a new body armour, helmet, day sack, a whole protective and load carriage system designed to combat some of the problems with their old kit. In Afghanistan and Iraq, British troops wore Osprey body armour and often had to patrol and fight wearing more than 50 kilos of bulky kit. A solution was needed to create a fight-light soldier. 3 rifles received Virtus just weeks before they deployed, back at their barracks in Edinburgh. So, what's new? Comparing their old Osprey kit on the left to Virtus on the right, you can instantly see just how much slimmer it is. It's lighter too, they've knocked 5 kilos off overall. There's an optional face guard. The body armour plates are the same, but there's a lot more space for manoeuvre. And Virtus is full of innovations. A counterweight can be attached to the back of the helmet to balance out a night sight. The material for the pouches are folded like origami, making them stronger. It's also gone a little bit RoboCop. The dynamic weight distribution system is a movable spine that allows troops to balance weight between their back, hips and shoulders so they can go further for longer. And for troops in danger who need to be pulled to safety, there's this, the quick release mechanism. The Virtus project began back in 2012 with a winning manufacturer chosen in 2015. They put the kit through 95 different tests, overseen by the MOD's Defence Equipment and Support Wing.
That's the underpinning element of this system. How does the human function within the system? We want to make that better. We want to increase their comfort and agility. And to do that, we had to understand how they were going to use it. So we did some lung function tests, we did cognitive tests, and some of those have really brought out how the soldier needs to use the system in real life operations.
From the lab and out into the field. Exercise Rattlesnake is the first time Virtus has been used on a large-scale exercise.
Room clear! Door front, window front!
3 rifles have been live and blank firing at the Joint Readiness Training Centre in Fort Polk. 200,000 acres of elite American training area.
In the UK, training in an urban environment is done using blank ammunition to protect the soldiers when they're clearing through the rooms. But here in Louisiana, these buildings use a special type of absorbent ballistic concrete, meaning you can use live rounds with a minimum chance of ricochet.
It all adds to the adrenaline and sense of realism you feel here, allowing troops to really work out the pros and cons of their new protective kit.
We tested it really well with our body armour, the helmets, the interaction with the webbing, and everyone had the opportunity to, because it's so scalable, to put the pouches effectively where they wanted them, where they found them most useful.
I like the body armour and the helmet. I'm not too keen on the DSAC and that, just unnecessary straps getting you with.
I'm pretty confident with my own kit. Like I've used it for like 12 years, and it's I don't like change. Hopefully, I will be using this kit and adapt towards it, and it could be better.
The helmet's a lot better. It's lighter, fits better. You don't sweat as much from the head. It's a lot better, especially with the fixed monocle mount as well.
Virtus is still a work in progress, and so the feedback 3 rifles give from their American adventure will be used to modify and adapt it. As protection continues to get lighter, tougher and more flexible, the soldier of the future could look very different indeed.
Now, in the cat-and-mouse game of anti-submarine warfare, the US Navy is developing a new surface vessel they hope will outwit any underwater enemy. And it has one significant feature: it's unmanned. Called the Sea Hunter, it's computer-driven and can cruise the open seas for months on end without any sort of human guidance. There's a new weapon on the water in the war against submarines. America's unmanned active sub-hunter has begun open water testing from a base in Portland, Oregon. The 132-foot vessel will search for submarines at sea for as long as 3 months at a time. That's with no crew and without coming back to port. It's also designed for counter-mine activities. The twin-screw trimaran is designed for enhanced stability in all weathers. Advanced soft and hardware act as automated lookouts. That means it won't collide with other ships. The test vessel has been christened Sea Hunter. Defence procurement and research has never been more important. In fact, the British government recently announced an investment of £178 billion in new equipment and support over the next 10 years. Military and security exhibitions play a crucial role in showcasing the latest innovations from potential suppliers. And one of the key events takes place in Wales. I went along to see what the future might hold. This is the Defence and Procurement Research and Technology Exportability event in Cardiff. Not a particularly catchy title, but it is absolutely jam-packed with all the very latest tech and innovation. So Andy, this is a prototype system, hoping to go into production in the next few weeks and months, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Just explain to us exactly what it is.
Okay, so what we've got in a nutshell is a very, very portable under-vehicle search system. Okay, so the kind of thing that you would want to be using on a vehicle checkpoint. On the softer end of the market, you could be using in a hotel, in a car park, or a gated community, something like that. And what we've got is the brain of the system, actually in here, which is a mil-spec computer. 2 cameras. One of those is looking out, surveilling for surveillance on the vehicle approaching, capturing the number plate. So that's a day and night infrared camera. And this camera system we've got here, which is glowing away quite nicely, is an under-vehicle inspection camera. So that's a semi-fisheye camera. So as the vehicle drives over...
This is what people drive over on the road.
So the only thing that goes on the road is this camera here. The rest of this would sit off to the side of the road, and if it was in a permanent location, it'd be put away in an office, like under the desk as a normal computer would be.
And how does it actually work? And how do people look at what the images are being produced?
Okay, yeah. So as standard, this comes with wireless. So we can beam that out to any tablet. So that could be a ruggedized tablet, or it could be a tablet like this.
Okay.
And we've tried to make things as simple as possible. So what you've got is a very simple user interface. It's touchscreen, as everything is these days. And all we have to do is basically touch on the image and move across. And we can get a good, almost 3-dimensional image of the underside of that vehicle as it comes across, with an overview of that vehicle approaching, and potentially we can get the driver there as well, so we can get a chance of recognizing who's in that.
So as a very quick security check, you can very easily just drag your finger across, have a good look underneath.
Yeah, as you're doing there. Yeah.
It kind of replaces the mirror under somebody's...
Absolutely, and it's just to try and make that easy. If you imagine a guy with a mirror, you might be hot, you might be cold, you might be freezing cold, it might be rain coming down, nighttime. It just tries to make that guy's job a little bit easier.
And in terms of the vehicle recognition, it's a little bit more intelligent than that, isn't it? In terms of recognising different languages and words.
It does, yeah. The actual software is built on a very robust license plate recognition, number plate recognition piece of code. So as the vehicle approaches, the camera there is looking out for number plates. And if it sees a number plate, it starts thinking, look, there's a vehicle approaching. That ties in with this camera here. And because of the nature of the cameras, we set up a number of virtual boundaries. So as the vehicle comes in, crosses point 1, 2, 3, drives over this, the license plate's been captured, and then the driver's potentially captured as he drives through that window of opportunity on the camera.
Well, just to give you a sense of how important some of the innovations on show here today are, this is a pair of protective glasses that for testing purposes was shot by a Remington shotgun from a distance of just 5 meters. You can see plenty of damage, but nothing that's gone through to the other side. So IT, not the most glamorous of topics, but I wanted to show you this rather nifty bit of kit. It's about the size of a credit card, as you can see, and it's pretty much a computer in your pocket. In terms of stats, it's got 128 gig of solid-state storage, 1.9 gigahertz of processing speed, and this is what the soldier of the future might be carrying around with them in their pockets, with absolutely everything that they need on there. It's robust, it costs about £1,000. In terms of just how robust it is, well, the guys that made this put it into a kettle of boiling water, boiled it for well over a minute, and it was absolutely fine. Not entirely sure that was enough. They then froze it and it was absolutely fine. Just imagine that you're in a vehicle, you're in a Foxhound, you've got all your information, your mission parameters, whatever, on this bit of kit here. You put it in, you conduct your mission, you come under fire, you need to get out quick, you release it, you take it with you, and you're leaving absolutely nothing behind. It's like the ultimate in tactical hot desking. Hello, welcome back to the Military Tech Show, bringing you all the latest in frontline and security in high tech. Now, there could soon be an ordinary, everyday feature in the skies above us. Let's face it, the potential for drones has never been greater, from delivering books and pizza to flying in emergency blood and medicine. One of the latest has heat-seeking capability, and as I found out, that could prove very useful for police and the military. I'm here at a secret location somewhere in England to find out more about drones, but not just any drone, one of the most high-tech on the market. It costs about £50,000, but before we find out more about it, we want to see whether it can find me. Definitely run over me. Yeah, I'm busted. Andy, you found me. Brilliant. As it comes into land. Nice job. Didn't take too long either. Let's take a closer look, just while we're chatting about it. I mean, it does look quite impressive when it's up there in the air. And on the ground as well, of course. Just talk us through the different elements. Give us the tech spec.
Everything on the aircraft actually is custom made. So we looked at hobby grade air components, and really they just didn't have the life that we wanted. 2.3 kilos, of which the majority is the battery. It is a flying battery. So we actually fill the aircraft.
Yeah, really like now. Okay, so talk us through.
So it's carbon Kevlar body, an airframe. These bits here are injection molded components, but everything else is composite. These blades are actually a special composite material that we've designed, which is taken from the motorsport industry. So by doing that, it spreads the load of the aircraft so it can carry more. So it can carry up to 500 grams, which for a 2.3 kilogram aircraft is quite a lot. The motor pods, everything has been done from scratch really, because we found that we just didn't get the reliability that we needed for the military. In hobby grade components.
One of the key things with this, as we saw earlier, was how fast it is to get it together and get it in the air. What is that, a couple of minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. It's 2 minutes is probably about the right time, but if you're really going for it, you could probably do it in about a minute.
Just talk us through the military applications for this. Presumably it's reconnaissance.
For an urban environment, being able to land onto buildings, they call it perch and stare, where you can land for very long periods of time and just watch and track people. It's also very quiet. So it's about the hum of a refrigerator at about 10-20 metres high. They've used it for sort of search and rescue, customs, maritime interdiction operations.
And if we flip it over, just to take a look at the camera, there it is. Talk us through.
Yep, so it's got a combined electro-optic and infrared camera. The infrared camera is manufactured by a company called Fleur, and it's a Quark 2, which is probably the smallest and lightest that you can really get on the market, which is a 640 by 480 resolution camera. And then we've got this 10 times optical zoom electro-optic camera.
And to switch it over,
yes.
Show us how that happens. That's quite a simple process.
Yes, so it's just a question of twisting it and clicking it out. And then we have this interface, which is the standard for all of our products, but you could interface other ones, and then you just line them up.
Okay, so turn it back over. I guess the only question to ask really, Andy, is whether I can have a quick go.
Of course.
Yeah? Okay. The UK's Ministry of Defence has ordered 589 of a new war machine at a cost of a cool £4.5 billion. It comes in 6 different variants. The British Army hopes to start using them in 2017, and it promises greater firepower, manoeuvrability and survivability than its predecessors, and is known as the future of armoured fighting vehicles. But just what is the Ajax? Time now for the second of my reports from the Defence Procurement Research Technology and Exportability event in Cardiff. Not a particularly exciting title, but the event does play host to some impressive and fun innovations. So this is the next generation helmet that's currently being rolled out across the British Armed Forces. Andrew, you can tell me a little bit more about it. Why is it so good? Why is it better?
Well, this is the new, it's called the Virtus helmet, so it's part of the new Virtus program that's been currently rolled out in the UK MOD. One of the key things, and probably the most interesting ones, is the weight. So if you compare it to the old systems, this is just over a kilogram.
That is
so
light,
total
isn't
weight.
it? Yeah,
it
very
is.
light.
So this, what you're holding there is the complete system. So it is the new helmet, which is the Virtus helmet, made out of polyethylene. It has about 900 grams in terms of weight, and then you've obviously got the visor system and the mandible guard. They all together make the entire system, and then obviously depending on the threat level that you're looking at, the missions you're looking to go for, you can customize it.
So these detach quite simply?
Yes, you can just take this off. The mandible guard, slightly more difficult, but you can pop it out as well. But you can combine it in any shape or form depending on the mission that you're looking to go.
And both sections fully bulletproof?
Yes, they're bulletproof. So obviously the focus here is weight, so it's been more focused on fragmentation support. It does stop bullets as well, but obviously focus on fragmentation, which is with bombs going off or IODs. But obviously the mandible guard comes in different variances. It has 9mm bullet fragmentation as well, but obviously we do it in both ballistic and non-ballistic sense. And then obviously you've got the visor and the goggles, which are protections as well.
And being rolled out through the rest of this year?
Yes, so we started last year. This year's a big push for this. It's replacing the Max 7 helmets with the UK MOD. Big push this year, and it will basically slowly be rolled out to individual parts of the UK MOD. Hopefully this year, latest next year.
Got to refuel where you can at these kind of events, but this actually isn't going to help. Not a chocolate bar. Turn it over. Plastic, hollowed out for a microphone to go in for covert surveillance. Similarly, this tree branch and this rock, very strong magnets holding this together, but if I can prise it open, you can see there's the space there for a camera to go and a very small, tiny pinhole for the lens. Harvey, fantastic looking bit of kit. Before we talk about it, just show me what it does.
Yes, sir. Heels on the plate, legs wide open. Grab the bar close to the plates, elbows in the pelvic area, and begin. I love this.
Yeah, that does look hard. Now, you've taken 20 years to come up with this system, yes?
Yes, sir.
So why is it specifically designed for the military? Why is it so good for the guys and girls in the military?
Military, because all soldiers are mandated to be fit or else they get put out of the service. Number 2, space requirements. This is great for the barracks, for men who have nothing to do. Instead of gambling and looking at films, they can do this and stay in shape. Number 3, it goes wherever you go, and it's powerful for men who are going overseas to train foreign armies. Most of those guys don't even have access to running water, nevertheless a gym.
I've got to have a go.
You got it, sir.
I've been told I've got to have a go, essentially.
Okay.
Okay, so heels on.
Heels on,
Yep.
legs wide open.
Legs wide open.
Okay, stand up straight.
I was.
And don't lean back.
Don't lean back.
And just pull
Elbows,
up.
pelvic area.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Do the best you can.
That's the best I can do.
Okay.
is it from us for now. We hope you've enjoyed watching the Military Tech Show. Until next time, goodbye.